chapter, we begin reading at verse number 4. Verse number 4. Exodus, the 16th chapter. Begin reading at verse 4. Last week we read 1 through 3. This week we pick up at 4. Then said the Lord unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or no. And it shall come to pass that on the 6th day they shall prepare that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gathered daily. Moses and Aaron said unto all the children of Israel, At even then ye shall know that the Lord has brought you out from the land of Egypt. And in the morning then you shall see the glory of the Lord, for that he heareth your murmurings against the Lord. And what are we that ye murmur against us? And Moses said, This shall be when the Lord shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full. For that the Lord heareth your murmurings which ye murmur against him. And what are we? Your murmuring are not against us, but against the Lord. And Moses spake unto Aaron, saying unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, Come near before the Lord, for he has heard your murmuring. And it came to pass, as Aaron spoke unto the whole congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, I have heard the murmuring of the children of Israel. Speak unto them, saying, At even ye shall eat flesh, and in the morning ye shall be filled with bread, and ye shall know that I am the Lord your God. The word of God, and the people of God, and the people of God said amen. Amen. Father, we thank you again for bringing us to this place of worship. We thank you again, Father, for the joy of gathering and the joy of song, the joy of fellowship, the joy of giving, the joy of opening our mouth in praise, the joy of just singing about your goodness. Thank you, Father, again for the provisions of the day. We realize, Father, that in this text we are reminded that you are a provider. For that, God, we say thank you. We know that, God. We have witness of that. We have a testimony to the effects, God, that you have provided for all of us. Even when we murmured against you. Have mercy upon our murmuring, our whining, and our complaining. Thank you, God, for being that strength in the midst of weakness. For when we needed strength, you brought it to us. Thank you, Father, in that moment of darkness, you were light. That our fears rolled away. Thank you, God, for being our rest. With all the worries and the concerns, Father, you permitted us to fall asleep last night and wake up this morning, God, and our troubles did not cause us to lose any energy along the way. We say thank you, God. Father, when our stomachs grumbled, you were food. It may not have been what we wanted, but it was something, Father, that killed the hunger for a little while. We say thank you. Father, when our bodies misfire, and we take that pill, and it brings everything back into order. Thank you for the doctor, Father, that knew how to diagnose the problem and give us the right medication. Father, you work in mysterious ways. A little pill makes us better. Thank you. somebody don't even have money to get that little pill. So they have to steal away in prayer and say, Father, regulate my body until I can get my medication again. Thank you. Somebody's out of their blood pressure medication. And their pressure is up. But God, you have a way of bringing calm and peace into our lives. And somehow or another, Father, the blood pressure drops on its own. We say thank you. God, you're good. God, you're just too good sometimes, Father. We just take you for granted because you know what we need even before we ask. And it's already on the way, God. And we fail to acknowledge that you are the God that sees all, knows all, and is all. Thank you, Father, for being everything that we need when we need it. Father, just move in this place today. You know the hearts of your people. You know what they stand in need of. Somebody sitting up in here angry, mad as hell, Father. Hell right now just pulling and tagging on them. But God, right now, move in the midst of their anger. Remind them, Father, they don't need to be mad at nobody or about anything. For you are a way maker. What they need to do is trust in the Lord. Father, take that sadness that walked in here this morning, that downcast head, that heavy heart, lift it up unto the hills. Help them to see that their help is on the way. Yeah, God, you're a great God. You will not let us carry a thing that's too heavy for us. For you will come and carry it for us. We thank you today, God, for being our God and allowing us to be your people. Thank you for all that you do and all that you do. Father, just continue to do what you do, the way you do. This is our prayer. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. We want to talk on the subject, God, our provider. God, our provider. It says that when a woman is looking for a mate, one of the qualities that she is seeking is someone who can provide. Amen. Someone who is going to be responsible to make sure that the needs are met. Someone who will help to make sure that the needs are met. I see so many men nervous right now. They just kind of like, come on from that. But it's about being a provider, one who is able to see what is needed and then find the means by which to meet those needs. And I'm wondering today if we ever really consider the fact that God, being all-knowing, knows what we need. A man does not have that ability. The man has the ability to assess the situation and try to come to a conclusion as to what's needed. Amen. And sometimes he will come up short, for he is not able to comprehend everything that's needed. That's why the wife will remind him, well, you forgot, and you did not get, and you have not done I could go on and on with that, but I'm going to leave that right there. But thanks be to God that our God is not one who is incompetent in regards to our needs. God knows what we need even before we need it. But in actuality, God has already provided everything that we need for. The prayer says, give us this day our daily bread. Give us this day what we need, Lord, and we'll be all right. And if you realize that in the text, God had already been providing for his people, but his people had become discontent because it appeared that they were running out. But I'm here to tell you, God never runs out. Things may run low, but God never runs out. Things may not be visibly available, but it does not mean that God does not have. You see, a lot of us sometimes we walk by sight and not by faith. We will look at a situation and surmise that this is going to be ugly. But you've got to understand that God is sitting in the midst of our lives saying that even though it appears ugly to you, it's a beautiful thing to him. Why is that so? Because God says you get the opportunity to watch me work. Repeatedly, you saw where the Lord says that the people will get to see that I am the Lord and that I will prove myself that I'm with them. Does God have to prove himself to you over and over and over again? Then if you say no, why do you murmur? Why do you whine? Why do you fret? Why do you complain? Why do you walk the floor? Why do you cry? Why do you enter a state of depression? But you got to understand that God already knows and that God will meet our every need. He said that just remind the children of Moses and Aaron that I am God and I've heard their cry against me. God is not faithful. God has brought us out here into this place and we're going to perish. We haven't had water, we don't have food, and our rations are running low, and the conditions around us are not promising. And you know what, church? That's the way we are today. We are sitting in here today and we keep hearing the economists talk about how bad the economy is, and we're beginning to believe that there is not enough and we're going to sink into another recession or depression. And folk are just worried. We get our 401k statements and we find that the stock market has shrunk and that our retirement funds have been depleted. And out of that we began to worry and began to fret and talk about I ain't going to have enough to live off of. But what kind of God do you serve? If you think that what's in your account is what's going to allow you to exist, something is wrong with you. Your money has become your God. And when your money shrinks, your God shrinks. Amen. All right. Some of us got that. Yeah. That when our resources shrink, our God shrinks. So that tells me that somehow or another that you're not really looking to God, but you're looking at your checking account, you're looking at your bank statement, you're looking at your 401k, and you're saying either eyes are living good or eyes are in trouble. Amen. It has nothing to do with God. You're saying that you are set based on what you have. And what you have is your God. Amen, church. I'm just talking. But what we got to understand is that when we look to God, our provider, then we have to understand that God is big enough not to run out. Amen. God is big enough not to run out. They tell you that you need to keep a running balance in your checking account in order that you don't end up with one of those $35 fees for insufficient funds. So they tell you to make sure that you balance your checkbook. Amen. So that you don't overspend. Now, can you imagine that you have to keep a running balance with God? That you got to keep contact of the number of prayers that you prayed so that you don't over-pray? I don't think some of us got anything worried about that. We got a surplus of prayers. We hadn't used up even a third of them. Maybe let me do that one anyway. But just can you imagine that somehow or another there was a limitation? That is where the children of Israel are with God in this murmuring episode that we have here in the 16th chapter of the book of Exodus. They believe that they're going to run out. That somehow or another it's going to be depleted. God's grocery bag is never empty. Yeah. Because you need to be reminded. You need to be reminded of the widow and the little boy. She was going to make her a last thing of bread, and then they were going to die. That's what she had said. I don't have enough for anybody. I just got enough for me and my boy. So Elijah, don't you be asking for me to make you nothing. All I got is enough just to eat one last time, and then we're going to die. A lot of us live our lives like that day to day. We believe that there's just enough and then it's over. But yet the sun rises the next day. And we get up. And we go on our way. Even though it looks bleak, even though it looks like that this is it, everything is caving in on it. Do you not realize that there are folk who have taken their lives because they have convinced themselves that there was nothing else they could do, so they ended it. They took pills, they jumped off buildings, they put guns to their head, all because they surmised that there's nothing else. God can't do anything. But only if they just hung around. They would have found out that God is a way maker. Yeah, there are folk who say the lights are going to be turned off. The tape back man is going to come and get the car and take it back. Yeah, all of those things might happen, but I'm here to tell you that if God gave it to you one time, God is able to give it to you again. All you got to do is trust Him in the midst of it. It ain't over until God says it's over. Yeah. The bank can tell you, well, we're gonna have to put a lien on your house. Okay, well, so do it. Put the lien on. I understand you got to do what you got to do, but this is where I am. In church, what you got to understand in those bleak moments like that, it's easy to cash in and cash out. It's easy to throw up your hands. It's easy to quit. But God says, let me show up for you. Don't trust me. Don't murmur. Trust me. That's all I want you to do. And sometimes, church, I tell you, God will get us in a position to see if we really trust Him. Amen. He will strip us down. He will allow events to just stack up on us just to say, I'm going to see just do they trust me. I know what I'm doing, but I know this is going to hurt them. I know this is going to make them be embarrassed in the public eye. And sometimes, church, it's got a lot to do with what we think folk think about us. And the sad commentary is that a lot of us don't come to church when we get enticed. We don't. Because our stuff is in the street and we know folk know we're going through something. But let me tell you something, that's the best time to get into the house of the Lord. When you are in the midst of hell itself, when the tornado is just turning and spinning and throwing your stuff all over the place, that's when you really need to get into the presence of the Lord and get among God's people. That's when you need to surround yourself with the saints. That's when you need to get around some positive vibes. That's when you need to get around somebody who know how to get their praise on. That's when you need to see the evidence of the Lord working and manifesting in somebody else's life. That's when you need to be able to look at them and say, you know what, I want some of that. I want that kind of faith. I want that kind of praise. I want to be able to, in the midst of my pain, be able to say that God will make a way. I need to see somebody that I know is going through something stand up on their feet and praise God, even though I'm sitting here with sackcloth on in a bad place. I need to know I can get up even when I'm in a bad place. And see, what you got to understand, some of the folk you see up in here praising, they ain't in a good place. They just praising their way to a better place. That's all they're doing. They know that God is in the midst of their best, and they ain't going to sit down on God and just say, God, keep it going, God, keep it going. That's all they do. They're just up saying, God, keep it going. I know you hear me. And I want to acknowledge I know that you hear me. So I'm going to make some noise even when I'm in pain. It's kind of like one of the richest shared with me that they were laughing at me when my tooth popped out a couple Sundays ago. Amen. Yeah, that was hilarious. That thing was funny. Someone said, I just wish I'd seen it come out. Well, you did. I just got to tell you about it. But they were saying that they laughed at me when I was going through that. But right now they're going through something. Yeah. And church, that's the way it is. You know, when we go through something, somebody else going to go through something. Yeah, and they can identify how it felt to you, and they realize that they're just like you. Everybody, look what I'm trying to say, everybody had a moment. Everybody had a moment. Back to the text, you see, they were at a place where God had to prove himself again. Remember last week I told you that God had already shown himself true. But he's got to show himself again to be a provider. And so he says to him, he says, Moses, y'all go tell these folk that I'm going to rain down manna from heaven. And he does. And he says, I'm going to send you quail and manna. I'm going to send you meat and bread. God will not withhold any good thing from you when you're in need. These people were in need and they start complaining about their needs. And remember last Sunday I told you God took that as a prayer and didn't hold it against them. Well, here we find God says, you know what? I'm going to send you quail in the evening, and I'm going to send you manna in the morning. Now, church, you got to understand something. When God is at work, there's some order to stuff. And God says that I'm going to send you the quail in the evening, and I'm going to send you the manna in the morning. And you got to understand something, church, that when God is operating in your life, God will operate in order in your life. So you see, when he's sending one thing, he may not send everything right when you need it, but he's going to send you what you need when you need it. And if God says, I'm going to do it, God is going to do it, but he's going to do it in order. See, he may have removed one thing and left something else. And then you're going to get mad. God says, I do things in order. And see, God will bless us in order for us to enjoy what he blesses us with. Now let me raise the question. Are you enjoying what God has already blessed you with? I just want to know, are you enjoying what God has already blessed you with? Let me Liberty Baptist trained up and hook up something to it. Are you enjoying your good health? Why it's good? Are you enjoying feeling good this morning? Because this evening you might be feeling bad, but are you enjoying feeling good right now? Are you enjoying being able to move and have your being right now? So you might get to a place where you can't do it. But I'm wondering, are you enjoying it right now? Are you enjoying the fact that you got friends? Because tomorrow you might not have any friends. So are you enjoying what God has already given you? I'm just raising the question. Are you enjoying what God? See, you come out, I can't wait till tomorrow. Well, let me ask you, are you enjoying today? I'm just asking. Because too many of us talk about what we can't wait to get, but we're not enjoying what we got. The people start murmuring and complaining about what they didn't have. And God says, now I'm going to send you. Get ready. Are you ready to receive? Wow. You've asked, but are you ready to receive? God is getting ready to do something. Are you prepared to receive it? And will you recognize it when it gets to you? See, God didn't answer some of y'all prayers and you didn't even recognize the answer. It says in verse 7, in the morning then you shall see the glory of the Lord, for he has heard your murmuring against the Lord. And what are we that you are murmuring against? And Moses said, this shall be when the Lord shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full. For the Lord hears your murmuring, which you're murmuring against. God, Moses is saying, now y'all get ready. Because God is getting ready to move. They didn't know how he was going to move. They said, get ready. He's going to move. A lot of us are sitting here wanting to know the how. God ain't got to explain himself to you the how. God said, get ready. Because I'm getting ready to do what you have requested of me, and the way I do it is solely up to me. But you make yourself ready to receive the blessing. And then he tells them, now, when it comes down, only get enough of what you can eat for the day. What you need for the day. All you can eat for the day. But don't try to stockpile that. You know why that was so? You know why I told them not to stockpile anything? It's because I'm going to give you what you need for the day. Because tomorrow's not promised. Tomorrow is not yours. That's why I said, are you enjoying today? See, there used to be a saying, here today, gone tomorrow. That has changed. Here today, gone today. Okay? So if you try to get something for tomorrow, somebody else might have it. So what you need to do, you need to learn that your provider is going to give you what you need for today. All the joy you need, he has given you enough joy just for today. All the peace that you require, he's giving you enough peace for today. All of the laughter that you need, he's giving you enough laughter just for today. God only gives us what we need for today. That's why I keep going back raising the question. Are you taking advantage of what he has given you for today? Are you using it all up? I tell my children, my girls, I tell them, I said, if I make it to retirement, I said, I'm going to spend every dime I got. So you won't have nothing to argue about when I'm gone. Now, you know I'm not going to do that. I just tell them that. But I'm going to live life to the fullest. See, I'm living life to the fullest right now. I might not get to retirement age. I might not even see the sun go down today. But you know what? I'm going to burn this day up. I'm going to get everything I can get out of today because I don't know what tomorrow holds. So the past that crossed my way today, I'm going to enjoy it. Do you live your life to the fullest every day? When you go to bed, are you like the little 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old? You tell them to go take a bath, and they come out of the bath, and you got their snack sitting there, and they go over and they get their little snack, and they're just so happy they get that snack, and they sit there and they eat that first bite. They have exhausted that day. They can't even enjoy their snack because sleep is just coming at them, and then they don't have any energy to hold in their head. They can get a cracker in their mouth. I see that. But we as adults, we don't live our lives like that. We don't exhaust. We don't play to the fullest. Can't we learn from watching children? Can't we adults learn from watching? See, one thing I know about you, when they're playing, they're playing. Listen, be old school for a moment. Back in the day when we were out riding stick horses, Mark, you somebody, don't look at me, I didn't ride no stick. No, you didn't, Bob. You had real man. You went to the grocery store down that morning move. But back in the day when we were riding stick horses and rolling tires, y'all look at me like rolling tires. They don't know what that is. You see, we had to make up our games. Yo, we get a car tire, didn't have no rim in it, just a tire, and we would break off some sticks and put spokes in them, and here we go down the road. We play hard. And all I'm asking is because God, your provider, gives you what you need, are you exhausting it? Are you depleting it? You ought to deplete this day of every blessing God gives you. You ought to use it up. For every moment with a close friend, a loved one that God gives you, you ought to just saturate yourself with it. And don't worry about if there's going to be more. Because God never runs out. Israel thought that God had brought them to a place to let them perish. And God said, let me show you. I can rain down quail and manna to where you will get sick of it. And he does. Are you sitting here today still murmuring, still complaining, when you got God as your provider, who knoweth what you need, when you need it, how much you need? He's just going to give you enough for today. And if you will take just that and celebrate, if you will spend the rest of this day celebrating every good and perfect gift that God has given you, I guarantee you'll go to bed happier tonight than you've been in your entire life. You'll fall asleep without even knowing. You just wake up the next morning. There'll be no worry. There'll be no anxiety. just be peace. Try not to fuss today. Don't be looking at your spouse. I'm talking to you. Try not to fuss today. Just see the day as one big blessing. And just enjoy the blessing of the people around you. Stop thinking about they get on your nerves. Just see them as a blessing. Amen. God provides what we need.